Welcome to Future Thinkers Podcast. This is episode number 56. Our guest today is Emmanuel Jal, whom we met at the Oslo Freedom Forum in Norway. We were invited to the event to give a presentation on the humanitarian applications of the blockchain, and we were blown away by the amazing stories of the activists and human rights workers who also spoke at the forum. Emmanuel's story is one that really grabbed us. He's a former child soldier from South Sudan who is now a recording artist, activist, and speaker. He travels and shares his experiences for social emotional learning through workshops and speaking.
In this episode, Emmanuel shares some of his heart-wrenching and inspiring stories, and we talk about resilience, sovereignty, learning, and the amazing flexibility of the human mind. For all the links and show notes from this episode, go to futurethinkers.org/56. Before we get into the show, we want to say thank you to our recent patrons, Aaron and Melanie. Cheers, guys. This episode is brought to you by bitguild.io. BitGuild is a new gaming platform built using blockchain technology. Their mission is to redefine the relationship between gamers and game developers. On the BitGuild platform, gamers maintain full ownership and control of their virtual items, which are stored on the blockchain. They can transfer items and progress between compatible games, and they can make in-game transactions safely and cheaply, and sometimes free. Developers who join the platform will get a direct link to an established player base with a strong community and a network of like-minded developers building on the same platform. Developers will also have the potential for direct game development funding from BitGuild. The first version of the BitGuild portal is now live. You can log in with MetaMask, buy the Plat token, and play BitGuild's first game, Ether Online. They now have a full inventory wallet system for in-game items. In the coming weeks, the marketplace will be implemented, and several independent developers are joining the site to bring their unique games to the BitGuild family. Go to futurethinkers.org/play to start playing, and join BitGuild's official Discord channel to connect with the team. All right, let's get into it.
Welcome to futurethinkers.org, a podcast about the evolution of technology, society, and consciousness. I'm Mike Gilliland.
And I'm Yuvi Ivanova. If you're new to the show and you'd like a list of our top episodes and resources, go to futurethinkers.org/start.
And if you like our podcast, leave us a rating and a review on iTunes and elsewhere. It really helps others find the show, and we really appreciate it.
Well, my name is Emmanuel Jal, and I'm a recording artist, a storyteller, and I come from South Sudan. Now I'm based in Toronto. And so basically what I do is I travel around the world where I share my experiences for social emotional learning to create conscious global awakening. And the story I share is about my childhood experiences and any other experiences that I encounter now. And so I was born when my country was at war with itself, and that war raped everything. That war took the soul of my family. That war took the soul of the village. All my aunties died during the war, all my uncles except two by the age of 7. My father told me I'm going to go to school in Ethiopia, where I ended up becoming a child soldier. And my mom was claimed by that war, which was also a big hit. It's a tough journey to share, remembering walking in hell. First time I witnessed war, I thought the world was ending. See, it was heavens raining fire, bombs dropping, and the ground shaking, people running in different directions. And I didn't understand what death is at that time. And you would walk as kids. Your parents can no longer cover your eyes. It's too much. You see dead body rotten, fresh bodies dead, and you just keep moving. And those are the images, some of them are stuck into my head.
That must be extremely challenging to have to share over and over again in these events that you go to, in these forums and conferences. How have you managed to kind of keep hold of the sanity with those images still in your head?
Actually, the more you tell, the less harm it is, because you've taken the courage, so it becomes more like a testimony. What I always say, a resilient child is not afraid to show the internal scars and the internal injuries. Now, the more you cover them, the harder they heal. And so I was free as I told the stories. Gave me more freedom, created more space. It made my life significant. And a lot of people don't want to share because they're afraid. But the first time I share my story really publicly, because we don't cry. tears were rolling out of my eye. I didn't control them. They were just coming out by themselves. It's the first time, and I think I was around 20-something. It would be an embarrassment in my village if you see a young man cry. But those tears, because I was telling my story in front of every person who had that same story, mixed with different crowds. And I could see kids come, and I could see mothers, I could see ex-child soldiers next to me. So it was just really a tough time. But after that, there was a release. Also, as a young person, I was telling the stories. For every village, when I have an experience, I get to the next village, I tell them in detail what I saw. When all people don't. And sometimes they will tell me, keep quiet. I say, they came this way, I saw this number of people die, I saw people running that way. And I explain it in detail without crying. And also because I believe when we share experiences for social emotional learning, we're able to put a spotlight in a dark place, make evil perform less. And so I share my experiences for social emotional learning, that to raise that conscious awakening, to connect people with their purpose, to connect with people's heart and their mind so they could do something.
How old were you when you first left?
I left my village when I was 7. And at 8, I was trained and I became a child soldier.
And then when you escaped?
Well, I escaped when I was, I think, 11, 12, or 13. Can't remember exactly, but those sometime 1992 to 93, that's when.
And where did you go after that?
We were trying to go to our home villages, so we left a place called Juba, which was a very difficult journey. There was no water. We were drinking our own urine. And other places, it was a real challenge. When there was no food, we would eat snails, vultures, or anything we could find. Somebody died. The vultures try to eat the dead bodies. We shoot the vultures. And we eat the vultures. Situation became intense. Cannibalism started. People eating dead bodies. My senses changed, and I wanted to eat my friend. My friend was dying, and I told him, I'm going to eat you tomorrow. And that became hard for me. Imagine you're looking at your fellow comrade and into their eyes that you're going to eat them. And I remember we put bombs around dead bodies, hoping a hyena will come and eat that dead body. And if the bombs explode, we would come and probably eat that hyena. But nothing was there. And I crawled under that tree hoping I could find a piece of dead body I could eat. But there was nothing. It was just flies hovering on the floor. And because I didn't want anyone to see me eating any human being because of our culture. And so I came back under the tree that I was in, and with my friend, and I look at him. That night, I battled with my head. And I remember talking to my mother's God. I say, Mom God, if you're there, give me something to eat. And if I survive someday, I'm going to give the credit to you. Tell this story everywhere. So part of telling this story is also commitment. It's part of my journey to that supreme being that gave me food in this journey. But as I waited the whole night, food didn't come immediately. I was waiting for a miracle, something to happen. And I didn't want to sleep. So 11 a.m. when I was about to lose hope, and my friend just died, and I was going to eat my friend, a crow came on top of a tree. And that crow, I tried to cock my gun to shoot it. I didn't have the energy. Then a child soldier that I thought died woke up in the tree that he was in and fired at the bird, and it fell between my legs. And then he collapsed. He did not even wait to eat that bird. And sometimes I feel, how could that happen? Somebody who is completely dead, who's weak. Where did he get energy? How did he know that I'm struggling to eat a bird? And sometimes that one sometimes shocked me. Did the soul come out of the body and the soul saw me? I'm struggling with a bird and struggle to get inside and get himself up and shoot it for me. And that, to me now, as I remember, actually inspires me to see, and it leaves a lot of questions and mysteries in my head. So I ate that bird, from the intestines to the feathers to the claws to the beak to the brain. Nothing of that bird was thrown away. It became the bridge. And that was one of the toughest journey where I arrived in a place called Ward. And I met a British aid worker called Emmanuel Jal, who then smuggled me to Kenya. And I went to school.
What is it like for you telling these stories now to people like us who have no concept of this experience? What is it like seeing the reaction in their eyes for you?
Well, I believe in stories. I believe stories provide healing. Stories take us ahead. Now, the interviews that you're doing is because you believe in stories. You heard people's stories, and those stories made a difference in your life. Before we were able to read and write, it was oral stories. People will tell us, grandmothers, through songs. Well, also, my country is still at war now. People are still dying. There are kids in refugee camp, government hunting children. You have a situation where babies' heads are smashed on walls, or on trees, or thrown on pots. Women are getting raped, young boys getting amputated. Nobody talk about these things. But now I have an opportunity that I can talk about this horrific situation that South Sudan government is doing to its own people, and the world is turning a blind eye. And now recently, U.S. is working to sanction the warlords or any person that benefited in the war and put their money in East African. So they want to find their properties and confiscate them. This is I think, one of the greatest moves made in this century, because as long as people are benefiting financially from the suffering of others, they will not stop. And so I tell these stories because it does something. Emma McKeon rescued over 150 child soldiers. I was the only one she took in. Somebody hears that somebody rescued me. She had no finances. She had no much resources. She was the resource. All she had was her heart and her mind, and used it to impact me now. And I'll say, you never know the potential of any child or any human being until you give them an opportunity. Now you guys have provided this platform to tell this story. Somebody's going to listen to it. Maybe they're struggling about something. That is, they're struggling about their financial situation. They think maybe the world is going to end. Then they probably hear this story and say, if this guy can stay alive, then I can. It's all about that. Your story. You have a story. She has a story. Each and every human being has a story. And all stories are the same. The universe gives us grace to overcome the challenges we have. Now I'm in Canada. Canadian stories will give me energy. My stories will help me to connect with people here. But the Canadian story will make me survive here. There's winter. There is summer, There is people who had experiences. How do you survive in a country of credit cards? Oh, how do you survive here? The people have stories. They tell their story. They say, look, we forget. Our brains are built for survival. They look for negativity every day. So it's our opportunity. It's also our responsibility to look for positivity. Now, you wake up in the morning, your brain has already found so many negative things for you. So if you don't have a nice story, you don't have soul food, you're going to be stressed. You're going to have anxiety. That's why you find out, who do I call now? Who do I talk with? And someone will tell you a word or tell you a story. And that's it.
How has your experience affected how you live life in Canada now? I mean, how has it changed your outlook on sort of the Western style of living, and how has it helped you live a better life in Canada?
To live here, to make it here, you require mental power. If you don't have mental power, that's it. You gotta, because people here are advanced human beings, like with all survival skills you could ever think of. The Western civilization is all about mental power. What problem can you solve? How big is it? What value can you add in my life? And so when I came here, it's not just the story. I start saying, hey, what are the 5 faculties of my mind? How can I develop each one of them? And that is your memory, your imagination, your intuition, your conscious mind, and your subconscious mind. And I did a self-analysis. I came to realize my conscious mind is weak. How can I empower it? Because a traumatized brain or a poor mindset does not like logic, doesn't use reason, doesn't like plan, doesn't like strategy. It acts basically on intuition and instinct. I cannot just act on intuition all the time. You need logic and reason. And that's what I've been developing. So to make it here, if you haven't developed your mind, you'll complain. Complain. And that's when you need a purpose. So when you have a purpose, you'll be grateful for the opportunities, for the time you have. You'll be a human being. You develop every person you meet. You develop those relationships. And then when you have a brain power, you'll have a vision. So for your vision is for your mind and your purpose is for your heart. Now, those are the tools I have now. And they've made me, when I tell my story gives me energy. It reminds me of the past. Because you can't go forward if you don't know the past. You forget your past, you're done. So my past is fueling me to be able to drive to that promised land because I can see it and I know my past and I have the map. All I have to do is get up every day and walk and walk there. And so it's a challenge to live here. When you come from a situation where everybody's poor, I come from an area that everybody's poor. That is refugee camp. So even if you make $1 million, 10 million, 50 million, it's a drop in an ocean. Where everybody's poor, your brothers and sisters, your community, everybody has nothing. They're being fed on aid. They're just surviving in their life. And so that is history. That's what drives me. That's what makes me wake up in the morning. That's what allows me to have gratitude. That's what gives me voice to tell this story. That's what makes me appreciate every moment. That's what gives me a sense of purpose. That's what drives my vision and motivates me to do things. If it is just for myself alone, I will not wake up in the morning, I'll sleep. If it's for the kids, I want to go to school, I'll do that. And so now one of the other things that I do is I actually do leadership workshop now, where I help leaders own their mind, find their purpose, discover what they're created for, and work with them to create habits that they can use to create success, or also work with them to create their mental power so they can be able to manifest the things they want to create here.
When you were doing the talk in Oslo, you were talking about sovereignty of mind. And that's something that we're very interested in as well. And I think that's a really important skill that people need to learn, especially in the age of mass media where we're constantly being fed other people's ideas about how things work or what the world is like, instead of having our own sovereignty.
If you don't own your mind, that's it. You see, there's according to the Nuer or Nas philosophy is the Creator gave every person their own mind. The Creator wants each and every human being to connect and have relationships so you can have a vertical relationship properly. And the mind is yours. Nobody has right to own your mind. So your mind is yours because it's what you can use to create things. We can create things. Each one of us can be a leader in their own field. Both of you have your own minds. Our brains are wired differently. We grow in different areas. Depending, the brain is the wish maker. It adjusts itself according to how you want it. There are things called dendrites in the brain. They grow, and if your brain size is the part that deals with all the stuff that you need, if you don't have the necessary dendrite to be able to create that frequency to connect with your mind, then you're done. If you want to be a great listener, you have to create the dendrites responsible for listening in your brain. So you have to practice because the brain is the link between your mind. And so when you create that habit, it's there. If you're a great listener, if you don't have it, you got to create it, And these are the things I find really interesting. So for everything I want to create, I look at myself. What's my mental power? What's the capacity of my mind to be able to handle this vision? You want to fly a plane? What does it take to fly a plane? You have a big house. You want to light it up? How many volts do you need? Let's say you have 200 volts and require 10,000 volts. So you check your mind. What's the capacity of my mind to drive this vision? And now you ask yourself that question, and you do an analysis. You develop your mind. Sometimes it's the decision-making process. How you relate to people, how you question, how you listen. Simple stuff. How to learn a strategy, acting on instinct, and then acting on a strategy, thinking long-term. Simple stuff. You don't have them, this could be a little decision that takes you away from just pushing it. And so you train yourself. Give yourself 20 years and prepare, and you get that. A poor mindset is on a hurry. It's on a survival situation. But a wealthy mindset is patient and waiting and planning and strategizing and asking questions and curious and seeking out. Hey, how can I do this? Who could I call? How do I do? What book do I need to read? Probably maybe I need to meditate. Okay, that doesn't work. Let me dance. Okay, let me jog. So that just to free the space, because in order to create, you have to allow the vision to sit in your head, and you hold it, and you don't let anything else stay in that space. Anything else, leave it, that's it. As a kid, I learned that. I visualize. I want to be part of the solution. It gives me joy because you see it. I want to be that. I want to be just like kids. So for you to drive whatever that it is, if you want to extend your mental power, easy, you got to be like a child. You can't know everything. I'm training myself now. You want to be a great strategist, you got to be like a child too. You got to ask questions. Oh, how is that? What about that? Why is this building tall? How come this movie is like this? Oh, how come this girl is beautiful? Why is this one wrong? Why is she wearing this dress? So just asking questions. You understand what I mean? And then they become a habit. And then we're with people. And I learned that from generals in the battlefield. How they fight better wars is they lead with questions. What tanks do they have? How many blew up? Is there any way? Can we dig the ground? Okay. What can we do? Anybody has an idea? What can we do to be able to maneuver them? Okay. Should we retreat? No. Okay. What can we do? And then people will talk. You just ask question. Just ask question. Question after the question. And then they'll sit for a while. And then ask more questions. They say, you want to strike? Fine, let's just fight. They say, okay, wait. Because they ask questions. They want to see everything. It's like playing chess. Then the great generals do that. And then they give you decision. Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. What do you think if we do that? Even when they're saying like, let's do that, what do you think we do that? Then after they're clear, then you give orders. Attack. No retreat. Because everybody got their stuff to do. So there's a whole team. And it's amazing. I'm trying to bring that back. I'm trying to meditate and bring those generals into my head.
That's the amazing thing about humans, is that we can reprogram ourselves, we can develop ourselves, we can change how we think, and we can acquire new skills. And for anybody who's listening, who is stuck and feels like, oh, I can't do that, that's the wrong attitude.
If you look at it, I look at it, even animals has conscience. My sister ran away sometime, and what happened is, she told me a story one time that shocked me. So her and her friends, they were attacked by soldiers, and those friends of ours were raped. But she managed to run. And as she was running, she entered a bush. And in this bush, there was a lion. She was face to face with a lion. The lion did not run. The lion was not angry. And it was just face to face. And so the lion, okay, look, you cannot eat me. I'm running away from people who want to kill me. And they're doing terrible things to my friends. And you have to go there. Not me. You cannot eat me. I want to go and meet my brother. I'm running away. And so what the lion did, the lion turned around and went and chased the other people. Now, how would a lion know that this person is in trouble and asking for his help. Now, we say these are animals. How did the animal know that he's running away from something and is asking for his help? How would you ask help from a lion? You know, I've seen situations where dogs rescued a baby almost being eaten by a snake. So the baby want to move here, there's a snake on their bike. And the dog was barking. Every time the baby want to move there, he's trying to go and stop the baby from moving until an adult came and they realized the dog was barking crazily and freaking the kid out because the kid want to go to the bike, but the bike has a snake. So if you look at that, what is that? Why would this dog trying to tell this baby, hey, don't go to that, don't go. So every time the kid want to go, the kid gets scared. And the parents are watching. So then the kid stops. And the kid want to move to the bike, the dog so madly. And then until they came later on. And then they helped. So I think like things are out there. We have the conscious mind, as you could say. But it's amazing how we can reprogram ourselves. For myself, I reprogram myself every day. I haven't stopped. Because you grow in violence, the violence is put in you. The trauma lives in you. And it's like owning your mind is a battle. You have to capture space by space, capture space by space, capture space by space.
It seems like your experiences have really taught you the flexibility of your mind. When we meet people in the West, there's definitely a higher amount of rigidity, like they're stuck in a certain way of thinking quite a lot more. And that way of thinking might accommodate for a lot of brilliant thought, but to try and shift it to a different way of thinking of what you believe is impossible is quite hard for most people, I think. That could be one of the most inspiring things about your story, is that you're demonstrating the ability to take all of this traumatic experience and take lessons from it and improve yourself and adjust to a completely different world and keep building yourself. That's pretty amazing.
That's what I do now. I travel, and I took a leadership retreat to Kenya where I took people there. And I'm doing the next one on the 3rd of August to the 6th in Canada, a place called Muskoka. If you guys are free, you're welcome. You can come and have an experience, get some tools to help you in your journalism world, you know.
Cool. How can people get a hold of you if they want to reach you?
They can go to mylifeisart.org.
Great.
www.mylifeisart.org.
Great. Thank you for joining us on this. Thank you for telling that story again. I can't know how difficult that is, but it must be incredibly difficult. So thanks for your generosity in sharing that story with us.
Thank you. So I have a new song with Xavier Rudd called Be the Love, which now we're asking people to be the love, to be the solution.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Nice talking to you. Take care.
Yes.
Peace.
Bye.
Wow, that was the inspiring Emmanuel Jal. Thank you all for listening. To get the show notes from this episode, including the links to Emmanuel's music and his work, go to futurethinkers.org/56. And to check out our sponsor, BitGuild, go to futurethinkers.org/play. And instead of our normal outro, we will play out with a new song by Emmanuel Jal and his sister called Ti Chuang. Enjoy.
Party. Watch me now, rockin'. Guns digital now.
Mày